Okay, hello everyone and welcome to a new half term. We are starting our project of anatomy today in class, and what we're going to be doing for our homework, which I'm going to be showing you today, is a pencil drawing of a rib cage. Now this picture I think is one of the best ones that you have available to you, so I would have a try at this. It's got lovely detail and tonal range. There are a couple of other options that I will supply that you can have a look at, but I'm going to go with this one today for the example. So first thing I want to talk to you about is gridding. I would like this image gridded, particularly because it's a very, very detailed image, and we are looking at proportion, structure and accuracy in this drawing. You are not going to achieve that if you roughly freehand this sketch. Just for a little bit of difference today, I'm going to be giving you a round piece of paper. We've been doing a lot of drawings on standard old A4 that this picture is printed on. I thought it would be a nice new challenge to have a go at a round picture. So first thing I'm going to show you today is how to grid up onto a round piece of paper. It shouldn't be too difficult, just listen to my process. Okay, so the first thing I've done on my drawing here is I've drawn a 3 by 3 centimetre grid. 3 by 3 centimetre grid. So I start off along the top. Now I've started from where the picture actually prints. I haven't started from the edge of the page. You can see that light grey line. I've started from there, and as we would with any picture, I've gone along the top and I've measured 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. I've decided to do 3 centimetre boxes. Generally, there's no rule or reason to size of the boxes. I look at the drawing I'm doing and I think, how big do I want these boxes to be? You're welcome to go smaller than that if you'd like to. You can do 2 centimetre boxes, you can do 4. For me, I look at this picture and I think 3 is a nice amount of detail, particularly when you see how much detail is in kind of one of those boxes, particularly around the rib cage. There's quite a lot going on in each box, so 3 I think is the absolute biggest I'd do. You can go tighter to 2 centimetres if you'd like to. I've also done the same thing. I've actually measured from the bottom. Controversially, you can choose whichever side you want. Today I was feeling like starting from the bottom, but exactly the same thing again from the corner of the printout, not from the corner of the paper. I've marked up, laid my ruler down and measured 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, all the way up to the top. Now it's come to 27 and I have 2 more centimetres left. Don't worry about that, that's fine. As we know, we adjust, don't have to fit perfectly equal. Do measure along the opposite side as well. Please don't just measure along one side and try to guess how you're going to draw straight lines. Measure top and bottom and make sure you're measuring from the same side. So if I start from 0 with my ruler on this side and do 3, 6, 9, I should move my ruler straight down and measure from this side, 3, 6, 9. I should not turn my ruler around and start measuring from this side on 0, because your lines will not be straight, and the same for the other side as well. So we have our grid. Now, as you can probably already see, the next thing I decided to do was take my circle, and I'm just laying it over the top of the picture. You can see that this piece of paper is slightly bigger than A4. It's actually cut from an A3 piece of paper, but I've cut it down a bit smaller, so it's a small circle, slightly wider than A4 piece of paper. So first thing I've done is laid it over the top of my picture. The main thing I want to get in this picture is this beautiful spine there. There's so much detail in that, I didn't want to miss that out. There's some lovely detail in the pelvis as well. You're welcome to shuffle down a tiny bit more if you'd like to. I've decided to go relatively high to make the central focus of my drawing the rib cage. And you can probably already see that what I've done is sketched around the outside of my drawing. So I'm using this as a template, and I'm just sketching a nice heavy line around the outside, so later on I can see where I've drawn. Now as I'm laying this here, you can see, I can already see some of my grid lines around the outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start carrying over those grid lines nice and accurately onto my circle. They will be my 3 centimetre spacings. I'm going to go all the way around and down, and I'm going to do it on the other side as well. Again, starting from the edge of that piece of paper, even though I haven't drawn a line there, that's the starting point. 3, 6, 9, 12. See, I'm not measuring, I'm not checking. I've already measured it once, so I know they're all accurate. If you can see any going horizontal, start those as well. So there's one there going from that side to that side. I can't see any more on that side there, but I can see one down there, and I can see one just at the bottom down there. So I've already got the startings of my grid lines just here. I've got every single one of my vertical lines, so I can start joining those up. And again, top and bottom, make sure you measure up both. 1, 2. Again, remember, we're going to do this relatively lightly on the real piece of paper, as light as you can get it, while still being able to see it. I'm using a HB pencil, something really nice and light, nothing too dark. We shouldn't be using for HBs for this. That's all my vertical lines done. I've got the startings of some of my horizontal lines. Now I couldn't see all horizontal lines because this circle is wider than a piece of paper, but if I already have a bottom 2 to get started with, then I know from there I can measure up my 3 centimetre gaps. So I know from there I can start doing my 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, and that should match up quite nicely. 3, 6, 9, 12. Follow one of the lines up so you're going nice and straight, and I can add in the rest of them because I knew it was 3 centimetres, so no need to find the rest of the horizontals. I have them there. Sketch them in. And that should be our relatively accurate grid. I say relatively, our very accurate grid. And that one up there. So I have my gridded lines that now match my picture. Now personally, the way my brain works is I would now do this. You don't have to do this at all, but my brain needs to take out of the equation the extra lines around the corners, or I will start getting very confused. I'm sure some of you would as well. Again, we can't cut it into a perfect circle, but I can take away anything I don't need. Okay, and I have this. So I'm going to now start transferring what I have here to this drawing. When it comes to the starting off light sketching, you can number your boxes if you want to. In the past we've talked about A's and B's and 1, 2, 3s along the edges. You might want to draw in that line as well so you don't get too confused with those lines. It's up to you. I think with this we can probably follow knowing it's a circle and seeing where the edges move. So it's probably going to end up being some kind of time lapse if I can ever get around to editing it, but we'll see. And do please take special attention to where these lines are and what's happening. How far up on the line does that new ribcage start? And actually that's a little bit low. You have to keep stopping and comparing and contrasting what's happening. Look at the negative space. How much white space? Look at that shape. Look at that shape around the outside. How much is that taking up of this box? It actually already curves inwards before it comes back in. And getting these ribs accurate is going to take lots of time and lots of care because they're very complicated. Starts curving around straight away into that box, barely comes out of that box and starts moving up. Okay, and there is so much detail here, it's going to take a very, very long time to get it in. And again, looking at that negative space. I'm just going to start adding in some tonal range. I know the light's a bit annoying there. I'll move that light up the way a little bit so you can see that a little bit better. Now, just so I don't get too confused with my drawing, as soon as I'm getting some of the details in, I'm going to start adding a little bit of shading. Now, you could treat these drawings, I'm going to move this over here a little bit, box by box if you want to. So I could now look at that individual box I've sketched at the start, and I could start adding my tonal details. A little bit darker in the top there. That hooks around onto here. A little bit of a darker shadow there. There's a lot happening. Like we said before, in a 3 centimetre box, there's a lot happening here. A little bit of a dark section there. Maybe some hatching and some cross hatching. Something you are going to want to think about while you start shading it in is, do you need to erase the grid lines? I'm not going to do that now, but you may need to think about it. Either you're going to sketch the whole outline, remove the grid lines, and then carry on with your drawing, or you've sketched them so lightly you barely have to remove them, or you're going to carefully rub them out later on, but you can decide on that. A bit of shading there. Now I'm still just using my HB. I think where this drawing is so small, so much detail, you can see where I change my kind of hand position up to press a little bit harder, lean a little bit harder onto the pencil. Get my very deep tones. And you can see how much care I'm putting into this one box. Okay, this is how we're going to do it, slowly. There is no quick fix with this drawing. This is not going to be a speedy drawing. You are going to show me you can draw this accurately and have this much care. Some of you can rush a little bit too much. Even as I'm doing my shading, I can see areas where I kind of didn't get the proportions right when I was just starting to sketch it out. Right, and now that's there, I can kind of see where the next section's going to go, a little bit clearer. And where this is going to come round. That's not a bit wrong. Apologies if my hand's going loosely in the way. I'm trying to hold my pencil a little bit further away. Now look at even the tonal range within each small section of the spine. It's very dark around that corner. There's a real dark shadow around there. And those are really important to bring forward the ribs that are in the foreground. It's very important that we get those background shadows in, nice and heavy. These cartilage gaps that we've got in between each spine. There's a different word, I can't remember what they are. Other separate pieces of spine called. Maybe you guys can tell me that. Future doctors. I've forgotten. Okay, so we're slowly working. Now, currently, I do have some areas that are slightly lighter because I have left some areas light. As I continue to develop this, what I am going to end up doing, most likely, I do have some smudge sticks if people want to use them or borrow some. I can lend them out, but you can see already in this drawing that no section of this shaded area really is white. The white is the paper behind it. So don't be afraid. It's a very difficult balance between getting a really nice tonal range in here and over shading so that everything is dark. You can just see I had a really light smudge with my pencil, with my finger just then. Like I said, you can use smudge sticks, but you can use your fingers, and I just gave it a real quick light blend over, and it just smudged across a little bit of the heavy shading I've put in the shadows. It just came across into the rest of the drawing to limit down some of that white area. You can go back in with a rubber as well, or an eraser if you need to, as you're developing this drawing. Now, as you can see, this is going to take a bit of time. You are welcome to zoom in a little bit on this drawing. I'm particularly interested in these lovely bits down here, and I will be doing a bit more of a video on that piece later on. But I want to see you taking time with your care, with your texture. Just do a little bit of this while I'm sitting here now. A little bit of that pelvis. The lower end is probably probably a little bit easier for those of you that want a slightly easier section. And get the surface just there. Gone higher than I should do that. Don't be afraid to adjust. Okay, you need to adjust your drawing if you know it's gone a little bit wrong. How satisfying it will be when you've got most of that ribcage drawn in. It might help some of you just to draw the outside kind of negative space, draw the outline roughly of where the ribcage is going, probably draw in this pointy part here. Now we can still count up these sections, so if I'm looking from where I'm drawing now, in fact let me draw that section in. That would bother me if I leave that bit. There we go, so I've got my bottom part of my ribcage drawn in. The light isn't great there, apologies. So annoying that light, I have to change that. That's interesting. It's very interesting. I'm just going to very loosely sketch in here. So that's my overall outline, that's my overall shape. I'll keep sketching into this. I'm going to pause this video.